Hi, fourth grade. I'm here today to go with you through some strategies we can use to apply to our math for days 1 and days 2 of packet number 5. So I'm going to share my screen with you and let's take a look at what we're doing for math during these 2 days. All right, thank you for being patient. So our day 1 math tasks were, oh, let's see if we can let my computer catch up. It's a little slow today because of the internet. All right, our day 1 math tasks were our math learning opportunities. Many times you have to measure items closest to the nearest inch. Make a chart like the one on the next slide and measure 8 items to the nearest 1/8 inch. Use the attached ruler in the packet if you need one. Hint, you're going to use the picture to the side of your chart when measuring to the nearest 1/8 of an inch. I'm sorry about that typo. If you're in my class, you know that if you highlight the errors, I often give you a bonus of some kind. Create a design of a Civil War soldier camp and label the perimeter of your camp to the nearest 1/8 of an inch. That is a 5C skill. So if you're taking part in the 5C challenge and trying to earn that creative thinking badge this week, this will count towards that badge. All right, so the first thing I want us to look at is I can't tell you exactly what you're going to be measuring. You get to pick anything that's in your house, but we want it to the nearest 1/8 of an inch. So if you can see over here, what they did with this piece of paper is that they have the inches labeled in eighths. So from 0 to 1 here, we have 1/8 here, 1/4. Now 1/4 is equal to what? It's equal to 2/8, so that's our 2/8 spot. We have our 3/8 spot. Then here, 1/2. What is that equal to in eighths? That's 4/8. 4/8 is our half equivalent. 5/8, we have 3/4. 3/4 is equivalent to, all right, very good if you said 6/8. And we have 7/8. Of course, 1 is our 8/8. So if we look at this, we have that all labeled. Now we'll often see that on a ruler as well. So over here is a copy of a ruler, and I can't really help you with what you measure or how you measure it. But what I want to make sure to point out to you about the work for this day is here. We need to start on the 0. We do not start at the edge of the ruler. That's a big mistake that a lot of us make, is we start at the edge of the ruler and then we don't get the correct measurement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point down here. I want us to point at this 0. This is where we start. We start at the 0. All right, so remember that, guys. Remember to start exactly at the 0. We line it up with the 0, not with the edge. Now, when you make your Civil War perimeter, I can't tell you how you're going to do that, what it's going to look like, whether you're going to make a square, whether you're going to make a circle. But when you do that, make sure that you measure your side. So perimeter is the addition of all the sides. So I do highly recommend, and I'm going to add this here, what's the easiest perimeter to find? It's going to be a square. Does it have to be a square though? I have a lot of my friends who are very good at doing pluses, plus signs, or big squares, but if we do it in a square, the perimeter is going to be, we're going to measure and we're going to add all the sides to the nearest inch. But like I said before, we could also do it in any number of shapes that are polygons. So we're going to insert, sorry, thank you for bearing with me here. All right, so if I were to say I wanted to add another little square on top of that, then I'm going to add this side plus 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 this side. So basically all of your sides. Make sure that you add your sides together and that those sides are measured to the nearest 1/8 of an inch. So now let's look at the day 2 math task. We're going to solve the math problem group project. We're going to explain thinking with pictures, numbers, and words. So I want us to look at this because I want to point out a few things. You are assigned a group project to complete with 2 other classmates, Jamal and Courtney. You completed 5/8 of the project, Jamal completed 1/4 of the project, and Courtney completed 2/16 of the project. Based on the information, do you think that your teacher should give you all the same grade? Why or why not? Then you are going to write a persuasive paragraph about whether or not you should all get the same grade and why on the next slide. Now, while you can come over here and give me an answer like, yes, because we all worked on it, we should get the same grade because it's a group project and it's a collaboration. This is math, and so I'm going to be looking for numbers, and your teachers are going to be looking for numbers as well. So if you're thinking about how to answer this question, my advice to you is to compare these fractions. So we're going to come over to the Smart Notebook really quick, and there are two main ways that we can compare those. So if we remember, we had 5/8 is what we completed for R. So I'm going to write that down. All right, 5/8 was us. And then Jamal completed 1/4. Courtney 2/16. All right, so there's two main ways we can compare fractions. The first is on our number line. So if I come out here and I draw a number line, whoop, my number line's a little wavy, sorry about that. All right, we have 0, we have 1, and then right in the middle, we're gonna mark our half. So now we have to look at, we have a 4, an 8, and a 16 as our denominators. So what I like to look at is our equivalencies of half for our half point. Is an equivalency of half using 4 is, right, it's 2/4. Equivalency of half using 8 is 4/8. Now remember, our numerator is half the size of our denominator in our equivalencies of half. Some of you may also look at it and say that our denominator is twice the size of our numerator and our equivalencies of half. Remember that pattern. If we remember that pattern, it's really easy to find what the equivalency of half is with 16s. That is, all right, if you said 8/16, give yourself a pat on the back. All right, so it's 8/16. So these are our equivalencies of half. So now you have to figure out where these numbers fit on the number line. And once you find where they fit on the number line, you'll be able to see who did the most work, who did the least amount of work, and whose work fell somewhere in the middle. But we talked about there being another way to compare those, and there is. So another way is to find the common denominator. So up here, we're going to write those fractions again. We have 5/8. We have 1/4. Keep that down here. And we have 2/16. Of course, there are other ways to compare fractions as well, and we're just going to go through two of the most commonly used ones. So what we can do now is we can turn these into equivalent fractions that share a least common denominator. Now, in order to find our least common denominator, we have to find our LCM. This is our least common multiple. So we're going to do that for our denominators, and our denominators are, we have an 4, we have an 8, we have a 16. So I'm going to list multiples of 4. I'm going to list multiples of 8. I'm going to list multiples of 16. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and list multiples, but you have to find the least common multiple, and you have to skip count to find your equivalent fraction. That might help you a little bit with the skip counting too, actually. All right, so we have 4, 8, 12, 16. And I'm going to stop there because I heard something important. So if you know what it is, you can get started on the next part. Over here, I'm going to do 8, 16. I heard something again, so I'm going to go ahead and stop there because I noticed something. For 16, I'm going to do 16. Oh, I'm going to stop there. Why did I stop there? Because I heard 16. I see 16 in all of them. All right, I wasn't going to give you the least common multiple, but I think if you were following along, you knew that. So I'm going to skip count for this one let's do it for the 4th. No, let's do it for the 8th because it's the top one and you guys are going to do the rest yourself. So when we skip count on the bottom, we're skip counting by the denominator. So I skip count by 8, 8, 16. I can stop here because I've got my denominator where I want it. On the top, I skip count by the numerator. So that's 5, 10. All right, now I'm going to let you figure out 1/4 on your own, and then you can kind of figure out and compare the numbers and see who did the most work, the least work, the middle amount of work. This is going to help you make the best decision as far as whether you think that's fair. And as soon as you have a good decision with numbers, you'll be able to write a more persuasive piece of writing. If you're in my class, you have to remember that this piece of persuasive writing is supposed to persuade your audience, not yourself. You have to think of reasons that will actually convince your audience. In this case, the audience is a teacher. Teachers are notoriously tough to persuade when it comes to changing grading practices. But they can be persuaded if you have facts like numbers on your side. So if you look at the numbers, that's going to be the most helpful thing to you. So 4th grade, thank you so much for coming and looking at math strategies with me today. I hope that helped you out just a little bit. We'll hope to see you soon. Kind of depends on my computer. My computer's been kind of lately, and that's why I haven't been able to upload every day. But join me again next time, and we'll go over some more strategies. So thank you so much, 4th grade. Remember, we're better together. We all miss you guys so much. If you have questions, make sure you message your teacher. I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.